What's going on, everyone? I wanted to do a different style of video than what you're probably used to seeing from me, but this is just a conversation about what I hope to see in The Walking Dead: The Ones Who Live. Also some predictions, but it's mostly going to be like what I personally would like to get from this series, what I hope it does for these characters, of course Rick Grimes and Michonne, and also what it does for the Walking Dead franchise as a whole going forward. I will personally be going to an advanced screening to the first episode, so unfortunately I'm not going to be able to deliver a traditional reaction to the first episode, but keep in mind that for episodes 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, I will be doing a traditional reaction style video where it'll be my first thoughts, live on the episodes. But unfortunately episode 1, because I'm seeing it early, I'm only going to be doing a review. I'll do a regular spoiler-free review, and then I'll also go into spoilers, and I'll release that review on the day of the episode actually releasing. And I'll also do a reaction to episode 1, but I'm going to clarify before the reaction that I've already seen the episode at that point. So, just to do a video anyways, and if you guys aren't interested in that, you can just skip that episode and then go watch episodes 2, 3, 4 when I react to those eventually. But I haven't gone to that advanced screening yet. It's still a couple days away, so let's just talk about it. Let's just talk about what I hope to see from this show, what I hope it does for Rick and Michonne, and yeah, let's just jump right into it. So just in terms of general things, like what I'm expecting from the writing and the directing, the choreography and all that, I'm really hoping it's going to be the best we've ever seen in The Walking Dead, mainly because the budget is a lot higher than we usually see, and we are getting the wonderful duo of Greg Nicotero and Scott Gimple back together. And if you don't know much about the directors and writers of The Walking Dead, let me just explain what Greg Nicotero and Scott Gimple have done for The Walking Dead franchise. So Scott Gimple, of course, is one of the primary writers from The Walking Dead series. He's done a lot of work on it. He's been writing on it since season 2. And in terms of individual episodes, he has written some of the best episodes in the show. For example, the episode where Sophia walks out of the barn, season 2, episode 7, he wrote that one. He also wrote season 2, episode 3, which was also seen as one of the better episodes of that season. In season 3, he wrote the episode where Morgan returns, which is also seen as one of the best episodes of that season. He wrote the episode where Merle died, again, another really great episode. Season 4, he wrote The Grove. The Grove is one of the best episodes of the show in terms of just pure writing. And then he also wrote the season 4 finale, which was also, again, incredible. Season 5, he wrote No Sanctuary, one of the highest rated episodes of the show. And yes, again, also one of the best. Season 5 finale as well. Season 6, he wrote the premiere and the finale, which I know a lot of people have a problem with the cliffhanger at the end of the season 6 finale. I personally don't think that was something that Scott Gimple did as a creative decision. I do believe it had something to do with AMC wanting higher ratings for season 7, but at the same time, we don't really know for sure. All I know is that that episode was still phenomenal. I don't really care that there was that cliffhanger there, although it ruined the episode when it first came out. When season 7, episode 1 came out, I ended up just not caring anymore, and I looked back on the season 6 finale in a much brighter light and realized how incredible it actually was. And then, of course, he wrote season 7, episode 1 as well, which again, incredible stuff. And he wrote Rick's last episode in season 9. So just a lot of just incredible episodes that he individually wrote. And he was the main showrunner from seasons 4 to season 8. Now I know a lot of people have problems with season 7 and 8. I have some problems with it too, but I still think there's a lot of great stuff in between those seasons. And even just looking back at seasons 4, 5, and 6, those are seen as some of the best seasons of the show. So regardless of what your opinions on specific writing decisions are of him, he is very clearly an experienced writer. He's very good. And so this show, I think he's going to do a great job in it, and I'm very excited to see what he's able to do with it. And then Greg Nicotero, he directed a lot of amazing episodes as well. I'm not going to go through all the individual ones, but he's also someone who is directing certain episodes on The Ones Who Live. I know there's some other writers and directors, but I'm not too familiar with them. Denai Guerrera is actually writing one of the episodes. I believe she's writing episode 4, and I've been hearing a lot of fantastic things about episode 4. So very excited to check that one out when it does release, just to see, what Denai Guerrera can do with the writing, because I've personally never seen her work before in terms of writing. And just based on what we've seen from the trailers, everything looks to be really solid. I haven't seen a single clip from the trailer that looked clunky or looked kind of off. Everything looked great. The makeup department side of things looks great. The CGI in any scenes that require CGI looks great. The background shots, the establishing shots, everything looks great. And that excites me, at least, based on what we've seen. There hasn't been a single clip that I looked at and was like, it looks a little off. Everything looks great. But so how is the structure of this season actually going to be? Now, in my opinion, I think the best way to do it would be to have maybe a couple episodes where Rick and Michonne are completely on their own, doing their own thing, and obviously there's parallels between them. And I think what would be really interesting is if they cross paths at certain points, but just miss each other. To me, that would be so cool, because think about it. They're going to be in a same general location. Obviously, Michonne's headed north. Rick is north. He's in the Pennsylvania area. So what they can do is they can have Michonne maybe come across a building that Rick was literally just in, and we just showed Rick in that building. Maybe the episode shows Rick having a fight scene in some building or something. Maybe he's clearing it out for CRM, and then Michonne rolls up to that same building like an hour later. And they can show that by the time of day. They can show that by environmental factors to show that, yes, Rick was just there, and also just the way they edit the episode. Stuff like that to me would be really cool because it would get the fans excited. It would get them thinking to themselves like, oh my God, they're so close to each other. Like they're literally right there. And I think they're going to do a lot with it. I think they're going to do a lot with the environmental storytelling, showing that like, okay, this character was just here. They might have just crossed paths. And I hope that we do get to a point where Michonne knows for sure where Rick is. Like she knows that he's with them. She just needs to figure out how to get him out of there. And just based on the fact that Denai Guerrera is writing episode 4 and the fact that everyone's been saying it's like one of the best episodes in the Walking Dead universe, I'm going to assume that's probably the episode they're going to reunite with each other, which makes the most sense because about halfway through the season is definitely when they should reunite. There's been a lot of clips in the trailer that sounds like Rick and Michonne are directly talking to each other, so those are probably actual scenes of them talking to each other, unless they're just writing notes to each other, because I know they were obviously doing that in the season 11 finale scene. So perhaps we're going to get some more of that in this show as well, and maybe they're actually not going to see each other, but I think that would be insane if they do this whole show and they don't reunite in this season. That would be crazy. It's probably going to happen in episode 4, and it's going to be a very emotional moment, and I want them to really spend time on that emotional moment. Don't, cut away from it. No, I want it to be like a 5 to 10 minute scene of them just reuniting and then directly showing the conversation they have right after reuniting. Because that's one of my biggest pet peeves with movies and shows sometimes, is where they have characters reunite and then they instantly cut to like the next day where they're just happily living together. Like, no, I want to see them breaking this down. Like, I want to see them talking directly after it happens. Sometimes you can do it and it can work out just fine, don't get me wrong, but I much prefer when they have this scene, they have this emotional moment, and you just kind of get to let the characters breathe and just talk, right after it happens, because I need to see that. I think that's how you make the scene as emotional as possible, and I really hope they can nail that. And as for how Rick is actually going to get out of the situation, I think he's going to be able to escape at some point. I think the show is going to show him as trying to escape a couple times and failing. And then I think, well, actually, I believe he was escaping, again, in the season 11 finale scene. I believe that was physically him escaping and then getting captured by, I believe the person in the helicopter was supposed to be General Beale, but at the same time, I don't know if that was confirmed, that was definitely General Beale in the helicopter. Whether or not it was doesn't really matter. Regardless, some CRM soldier came, took him back, and I would be actually curious to see if maybe the show's going to start off right after that happened, like right after him getting brought back. I also would like to see the years leading up to it, though. Like, I would love to have a sequence where it shows like exactly what happened, maybe like a long montage throughout the 6 years. I think that could be really cool, just seeing what he's been up to, maybe like quickly shooting past it though. But chances are the CRM is not just gonna like magically explode. Like, Rick's not gonna take out the CRM on his own. If he escapes, they're still gonna be after him. And I think it'd be really cool if Michonne's new group that she comes across, which we already saw that group at the end of her last episode in season 10 of the show. So hopefully that group is one that's like, it looks to be like a really big group. Hopefully they can help fight against CRM. And I don't know why they would get involved. Maybe they have a reason to get involved other than just trying to help out Michonne, because it seems like they're headed that way anyways, because I don't think these characters are just going to suddenly stop in their tracks to help Michonne get to Pennsylvania. They're probably going that way anyways, and Michonne was just following them. And so eventually she gets there with them, and maybe some of their people get killed by CRM, as we see in the trailer. They look like they get gassed at one point, so perhaps that's going to get them involved in some sort of a battle against CRM as well. And they're gonna have a reason to help defend Rick and Michonne against them. Now, I know there's a lot of talk about whether or not Rick loses his hand, and honestly, it's not something I care that much about. I know that's like the main thing everyone's talking about, like whether or not he loses his hand. I don't think it's gonna change the show that much, other than the fact that yes, Rick is gonna have a lot more trouble in these action sequences. He's gonna have to, he's gonna have more trouble essentially. So I don't really know if it's a necessity necessarily to do it. Obviously, for the comic Rick look, it would be cool. It would be a cool fan servicey type thing, but I don't think it's required for the story. I don't think we need it. And I also don't want to spoil myself on whether or not it happens. Like, I see people breaking down every little inch of the trailer. I'm not going to do that. I know there's certain clips that definitely looks like his hand is not there. But again, I'm not going to go that deep for it. I really don't care whether or not it happens. I want to be surprised when it happens, and that's what I'm hoping will happen if it does happen. But that's just going to throw it out there because I know people love to talk about the whole Rick losing his hand thing. It really doesn't matter. Like if it happens, I'm going to be like, holy shit, that's crazy. But I don't want to know going into it. You know what I mean? There's also been some talk of some other Walking Dead universe characters joining the show. And Scott Gimple did say this. He actually confirmed that at least one other character from The Walking Dead will appear in this show. Now, to be fair, this show could definitely have more seasons. It probably will have more seasons. So he could be saying that there's going to be another character to come in maybe season 2. I don't think it confirms it's going to happen in season 1. But I think it could work. And honestly, because of the fact that the Daryl show is now confirmed to be getting 3 seasons, which is crazy. They might even get more than that at that point. I have no idea. But right now it's confirmed to have at least 3 seasons. There's also going to be a season 2 of Dead City, definitely. Definitely be a 3rd season if they wanted to. I think that confirms they're probably going to do a 2nd season of The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live as well. And to me, I just don't think it would make sense for Rick to reunite with Judith at the end of season 1, because if they're planning on doing more seasons, how are they going to have Rick already return home? You know, and that's how he's going to have to reunite with Judith, is returning home, right? So I just don't see that happening, because how are you going to do a season 2 if Rick returns home? Then it's just going to be the regular Walking Dead show at that point, because all the characters are there. Unless Rick goes there, reunites with Judith, and then somehow leaves again, and then does a season 2 out of that. I have no idea. That does not make sense. I guess they could have Judith leave and then find Rick and Michonne somewhere, but who is she with? Why is she leaving? Why is that happening? I have no idea. So I think what would make more sense, most likely, is if season 2 ends, or season 1 ends, with perhaps another character meeting up with Rick, reuniting, and then season 2 continues this story against CRM, and Rick is still trying to get home even within season 2, and then maybe season 2 ends with him getting home, and that could be the final season of the show, and he reunites with Judith at that point. Now, who could that character be then from The Walking Dead? Who else but Morgan? Who else but Morgan? I think Morgan would be the perfect character to do this for, and obviously only if Lenny James wants to return to the show, and I think he would, because he loves this character. He's playing it for so long. And, you know, not to crap on Fear the Walking Dead, but I just don't think it was a very good show. You know, it didn't have a lot of high ratings. People really weren't watching it that much in the later seasons. And Lenny James still stuck around and played that character. So he clearly cares about that character, or else he probably would have left beforehand, because I don't think he'd want to be a part of a show that's just not getting a lot of good reviews. Not a lot of people are watching it. If he didn't really care about the character, he probably wouldn't have continued to do that. So he definitely does. I think he would definitely return. And it's a no-brainer, because his character literally ended in Fear the Walking Dead with him wanting to go find Rick Grimes. He literally put it on the radio. So, of course, he's probably going to join it. And not going to lie, marketing season 2 as a Rick, Michonne, and Morgan show would be the perfect thing. Like, that sounds brilliant. And it would be a great way to make season 2 feel very different, because not only is it now a Rick and Michonne show, it's also got Morgan thrown into the mix. And that would be awesome. And Rick, Michonne, and Morgan have had a lot of great moments in the prior show. Obviously, Season 3, Episode 12 comes to mind. Season 6, Episode 1, the whole line with the protein bar.
Michonne, back when you were in that place where I lived, did you take one of my protein bars?
No.
See, I could have sworn there was one more peanut butter left.
Stuff like that could just work really well with these characters, and I think Michonne hasn't seen Morgan in a long time, obviously, so they would be cool to see together. And obviously, Rick and Morgan would be great to see again together, so I think that will probably end up being the character that reunites with him, and then Rick can then reunite with Judith and RJ and all the other characters, season 2 finale. That, to me, makes the most sense. But let's say that does happen, right? Let's say they do end up reuniting in season 2, and then that's the last season of this show. Is that going to be the end of Rick Grimes' characters? That can be the end of Michonne's characters. That can be the end of The Walking Dead. I honestly don't think it should be. Here's how I think it should end. I've talked about this in other videos before. They have this season 3 of the Daryl show going on. They have season 2 of Dead City, right? And they're probably going to have season 2 of this show. I personally think they should do a max of 2 to 3 seasons for each of these shows, go no further than that, and then bring them all together in a Walking Dead crossover finale movie special event type thing, right? That's how they should end these characters' stories, because to me, it does not make any sense to end the character stories on their own. Like that's my biggest problem with these whole spin-offs, is I was worried that's going to happen, and I was thinking to myself, like, there's no way they're going to do that, because I wanted these characters to end their stories together, right? They're ending them separately just doesn't really make sense. It doesn't add up for who these people are. This show has always been about the family. It's always been about those characters and how close they are to each other. So splitting them off to have their own separate endings just doesn't work for me, right? I'm completely fine with them having their own separate stories, but in terms of endings, no, it should be together, right? And you could say maybe, okay, they're going to bring Daryl Negan and Maggie and Carol over to the rickshaw for maybe the end of that. But why would you end Daryl's story in the rickshaw or Negan's in the rickshaw? Like, that doesn't make sense anymore, right? So why not bring them all together in some sort of a finale special? They could also do a series out of it, but what would be the point of that? Probably no point. Just do a movie, right? A 2-hour finale movie. You can put it in theaters, you can put it on AMC Plus, whatever, right? And that would be the way to close up this story, maybe in 2026 or 2027, whenever they get to that point. And that is where you end these characters' stories. That is where you put a bow on it. You call it a day. You have some amazing ending. Maybe it's a CRM versus Commonwealth battle, which would make perfect sense given what happened in season 11. I do believe Commonwealth was giving people to CRM, and they eventually stopped doing that. So there's definitely conflict that could happen. Maybe they'll just be coming after Rick as well. And there you go. It sparks a whole new battle. And you can have Fear the Walking Dead characters join in. I don't care. Whoever wants to join in, throw them in this movie and have it be like this ultimate event film that ends the Walking Dead universe, or at least so far, right? And these characters are never to be seen again. I think that would be for the best. Now, does that mean the Walking Dead franchise would end? No. They can definitely do more stuff in the future. I've always talked about other ideas for other spin-offs, other things they can do. But in terms of these characters, you end these characters' storylines for good. I think that would be the most satisfying. And Scott Gimple has already said that he does have ideas for bringing these spin-offs together. He literally just mentioned that a few days ago. So he definitely has some ideas like this in mind. And I do think this would be the best way to do it, just because it does it in one final movie. And it would feel, in my opinion, more satisfying that way. In general, that's all I really have to say about this show. Hopefully it ends up being as good as everyone's saying. The reviews have been incredible. Like, everyone's calling it like one of the best things The Walking Dead has ever done. So if the reviews have any indication of what it could be, then I think we're in for something good. Like I said, I will be seeing it early. So again, expect an early review in just a couple days. And then for the reactions, you're going to get normal reactions for episodes 2 through 6, but I probably still will do some sort of reaction for episode 1. It just won't be my first time watching type reaction, but it'll still be something where I can at least talk about the episode and kind of give my thoughts as it's going along. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.